Okay, so third part. Now we are talking about college. Um, College was an interesting time. So I was, how old was I? 19 when I graduated, I think. High school because my parents, I did 2 years of preschool, so therefore I entered a year older because my birthday's in May. So it's kind of a weird time frame for athletics. Either I would play with a group younger than me, or I would play with a group older than me, which actually happened. I played with a group that was 2 years older than me one time, and then I played with a group that was, and most of the time I played with kids that were around my age, if not a little bit younger. And we ended up winning states and stuff like that pre high school. But um, I should probably also say the high school I went to because I said the other high school we played against. I played in Nebraska with a team called with a high school named Lincoln East, and they've actually been doing pretty well for what they are. And I'm pretty sure all sports. I think I don't know for sure. I don't really keep up with them too much, high school sports wise. And then the high school that I went to in Florida was called Melbourne High School, Melbourne Senior High School to be exact. Um, and they're well known too for making it to states for baseball and stuff. That's kind of why I went there instead of over like O'Galley or anything like that. They all have amazing track records on the Space Coast for recruitment and whatnot. So it really came down to that. It was just an unfortunate situation with the coaches and the timing of when I was introduced to the coaches for that junior season. But um, that's in the past, and it's time to go on to college. So, college wise, I started at Eastern Florida State College, located in Melbourne, Florida. So, it was a state college that they're trying to transition to a 4 year program. They have a lot of 4 year programs, but the time that I went there, they were mainly a 2 year institute, still community college. Their baseball team was pretty good too. Um, and I think they're considered one of the top JUCOs in the nation, actually. So they're well funded. It was a very good school. The instructors that I met were phenomenal. I remember my Orgo class when I took organic chemistry there. It was 15 of us, I think, in comparison to large universities where I talked to my friends that went University of South Florida the entire way through. Organic chemistry one, they had like 100 plus students. So I could really have that time to talk to my professors, really have that time to interact with my professors, and they wrote me amazing letters of recommendation as a result. Shout out to Dr. Styron and um, everyone else who wrote me letters. Uh, I'm blanking on a few my anatomy professor, and she's fantastic. I don't know. I gotta figure that one out. But anyway, um, either way, all my professors from Dr. Gold to Dr. Styron to my anatomy professor to Gen Chem and stats professor even, they were phenomenal. Uh, they talked to us. They confirmed with us that we understood the content, and it wasn't so much about the grades. It was about if you understood it, if you could apply it, and that was a big thing. And it helped me when I moved to University of South Florida then afterwards, which is located in Tampa, Florida. Um, and I ended up finishing there magna cum laude, sigma cum laude. What was that one? Hold on, I have my CV right here. I'm gonna pull it up. Um, so I finished summa cum laude. Yeah. So I finished with like a overall 3.83 science GPA and an overall no 3.83 cumulative 3.9 science, um, with biochemistry, genetics, all that stuff taken. Um, so I ended up knowing that I wanted to do medicine, therefore I kind of tailored everything towards it. I did my first semester after high school at Eastern Florida when I was in Melbourne still. I worked under a neurosurgeon as a volunteer by the name of Dr. Duke Nation. Um, he has a twin brother also located in Tampa, but that does robotic neurosurgery. Really neat stuff. But Dr. Duke was a phenomenal mentor. He taught me one of the most important lessons that I could have learned in medicine, and it's simply ask. The worst that people can say is no. Just ask. If you don't know how to do something, ask. And that nobody knows what you know until you ask. And there are stupid questions. You can't ask a dumb question. But somebody else is probably thinking that same question at the same moment that you're there. Like, just ask it. What's the worst going to happen? Somebody going to make a fool of you? Who cares? We're all here to learn. And people realize that and people recognize that. And especially physicians, because physicians, most, I would say most, not all, recognize and remember what it was like to be in your shoes, especially those that just got done with residency or whatever the case may be. So asking them questions, learning from them is a very big thing that can help you um, with not only standing out, but also that you actually show interest. And that's also to say, don't go around asking every single question under the sun. As one of the doctors in my as one of the doctors that I interact with here at KCU says, when you get to residency and you start asking questions, you're not going to get an answer. You're going to have a presentation the next day. So try to figure out the question yourself. If it's truly something that's like, say, something mechanical, like you're trying to figure out how to do a blood pressure, you're trying to figure out how to ask a history question properly. Those are things, ask the doctor, ask the other colleagues that you work with that have been there for a while, and it'll be amazing. You'll learn a lot, and it'll help you with a lot of things. And you'll probably feel dumb at times. You will. I know I've felt dumb at the majority of times when I'm surrounded by the people. That goes to the fact also that you don't want to be the smartest one in the room. You don't. You don't want to be the dumbest, but you don't want to be the smartest as well. And if you're the dumbest, then that works too, because then you have a lot to learn to get higher. But if you're the smartest, then it means that the people around you they're not giving you that growth that you need to reach where you want to be, unless you're already where you want to be, and it's just like something I don't know. But that's a personal preference of mine. Um, so freshman year, college, worked under Dr. Duke. That was my first clinical experience. Learned how to do blood pressure, history, etc., as well as patient interaction, and kind of got my first touch or taste of what it's like to work in a competitive specialty and medicine in general. Then following that, I ended up I focused academics for a little bit. Then I went and worked as a registered behavioral technician. So I worked with children on the spectrum, and it was great. I learned a lot of things from them as I hopefully taught them a lot of things too. People don't like to change. Children on the spectrum do not like change, and that's just kind of how it goes. So you have to be patient. You have to remember why you have to be patient. You have to remember that not everyone is as lucky as you are. Some people have developmental disabilities. Some people have issues. And if those issues are problematic for them in any direction or any way, then me personally, as someone who doesn't really have any developmental problems of any kind, any physical limitations, it makes it it makes it more relevant and more eye-opening on that there's less that you should be complaining about type situation. And like for me, it's like, why am I complaining? Why am I not pursuing med school? I have nothing limiting me other than my own motivation and goals and desires to reach where I want to be. So pretty much that's what I learned. There's a lot more to it, obviously, but I'm just trying to keep the video short. It's kind of like a step-by-step play, kind of. And maybe I'll go more in depth later on. But next up is after the RBT, I ended up moving to Tampa. Tampa is where I really got a taste of what medicine was. I got a taste of what medicine was, and the fact that I did a multitude of things, and I'll probably bring that up in the next video because I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there. I'm sorry for that. But pretty much that's everything so far of what I've done. Academics are a big thing. If you want to go to medicine, you gotta have good academics leading into it, and then it's a matter of not always what you know, but who you know. It matters about, are you able to interact with people? Are you able to recognize when you're in a room that, hey, maybe I shouldn't be talking right now. Maybe I should be listening. Maybe I should be sitting here looking at stuff to do instead of just sitting here on my phone. Maybe I should be up and moving. Maybe I should be interacting with individuals instead of just sitting in silence. Maybe I should be asking this question that's pressing. Maybe it's all about reading. It's all about interactions and understanding social. And as someone introverted, I had to teach myself how to do that. I hate interrupting people. Like, it's my number one pet peeve is interrupting people for my personal self. So it's something I had to learn, and something that uh, has helped me learning how to do it and recognize when to talk and when not to talk. And most of the time, talking isn't going to help you much, as when you're doing patient histories, when you're doing anything, the less you talk, the more someone's going to tell you about who they are or what they want or what's affecting them or uh, what they're expecting. Okay, so like if a patient is presenting with, we just had this a lateral ankle pain, right? You ask them what happened or what brings you in today. In real life, not SPEs, they'll more than likely go on something like, "Oh, I was working on my roof, and then I just all of a sudden started feeling pain because I'd been up there for however long, or maybe I fell, or maybe they fell off the ladder, or maybe they did something," and that gives you a lot of pointers going forward. So learning how not to talk, but listening is a big thing. And it's kind of helped me. And being introvert kind of helps with that, but you also have to be able to interact and to put yourself out there a little bit. So that's the end of this one. Then I'm going to go into the second part of college. Anyway, have a good one. Like the video if you want to, and I'll see you guys later.